Okay, second video, we are going to now focus on the second function we had to implement, which is str compare, string compare. So the purpose is to return one if the strings referred by the two parameters are identical. Okay, return zero that is false otherwise. And we are going to use a little trick that I mentioned very early in class, which is if the strings have two different sizes, well, there are little chances that are going to be equal. So let me switch back to the editor. It is where we left it. Okay, str length is implemented. Now we are going to implement int str compare, taking char s1, char star s2 as parameter. Here goes our declaration, sorry. Here goes our definition. And there we go. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to have like two integers, size s1, size, and I'm going to just clear them in the same line, s2. We're going to initialize size s1 to the value returned by str length of s1. We're going to do the same thing for s2, of course, but replacing s1 by s2 in both occurrences. So we have the size of both strings. Now what? Now if size s1 is different than size s2, then I can already return 0. Those strings are not identical. If the size are identical, then I need to compare them. If I didn't take care of measuring the size of the string, right now I wouldn't know which one is shorter, I wouldn't know exactly when to stop. I would have to keep advancing both strings and stop as soon as one of them is reaching the end of string mark. If only one of them is reaching this mark, then I would return false. They are not the same. If both of them are reaching the end of string mark at the same time, after comparing every character and not finding any discrepancy, then I would say the strings are identical. What I'm going to do here is a different approach. Since I know already the size of the two strings and they are the same, I can go for a for loop. Okay, I can go with a for loop which is going to do int I equals 0. That's going to be my start. I lesser strict than size s1. I could have used size s2, of course. They are the same. I chose size s1, and this is going to be the body of my loop. What do I do inside? What do I do inside of this for loop? Well, I'm going to keep comparing both strings. The idea is that as long as the two characters of same index in both strings are equal, I keep going until I reach the end of the string. Okay. If they are different, then I know my string is my two strings are different. They differ at least with that character, and I do not care about checking the others, of course. So I'm going to do something like if s1, and I'm using the array notation for this. This is the size. If s1 of I is different than s2 of I, then I know they are different, and I'm going to directly return 0 from my function. Get out of my loop, return 0. And this is it. Once I am done with this work, well, if I get out of my loop, that means that I have exhausted all characters. I compared all characters and I never went into the if statement and returned 0. So I can pretty much tell you that those two strings are identical. I'm saving the file. Now let's find a way to test this little piece of code. I'm going to need s2 here equal, let's say, hello. So I have s1 and s2, which are obviously two different strings, and I can test if they are equals, like so. I'm going to write simply s1, and we know what it refers to, is a string to s2. Go to the next line. So I made room here to insert a string in between s1 and s2. Okay. Why did I do this? Well, simply because I want to be able to have a ternary conditional operator in between here. That's going to allow me to say, well, S1 is equal or different, identical or different compared to S2. So I'm going to use that as an occasion to reuse ternary conditional operators. Let's see how this works. This is an expression that goes as parameter to printf. Okay, I'm going to call str compare with S1, S2. If this function returns true, then my string will be S1 is identical to S2. Otherwise, it will be different. And this shows me that I should have made my message for B phrase a little differently so that the 2 is not hard-coded here. So there we go again. S1 is identical to or different than S2. These are the strings that are going to be big. I close my printf. Save my file. Let's compile and make sure we don't have syntax errors here. GCC main.c. In function str compare for loop initial declaration used outside C99 mode. Okay, so we are talking here about something that is really convenient, but that is not really pure NCC or even C99 mode. I declared right inside of my loop int I, an index I. Okay, the way that I wrote it here, I am pretty much simply using this I variable inside of my loop, and that is all. What I need to do in pure C is to declare it up here, okay, outside of the for of my loop. This little syntax I used here is really common in C++, it's common in Java, it's accepted by some C compiler. You can change the option of GCC so that it accepts it, but this is not pure C, so I removed that. We should be good now. Going back to my terminal, compile again, a.out, the string high is 3, well, that's what we were doing before. S1 is different than S2, well, that's good, that's what we wanted to obtain, alright? So now, can I just turn in this this program as we discussed in class? No, this is not, what we did so far is not sufficient testing to make sure this program is working. Well, now that we know how we implemented it, that can give us idea of how things could go wrong, okay? We're using the size to test if those strings are different to start off with. So what happens if I have char s3, char star s3, initialized to ho, same length than high, right? Different characters. So I'm going to try to compare s1 and s3. Okay, little glitch here in the connection. I'm going back up here. I'm going to try to compare s1 and s3. And we're going to see immediately if this function is susceptible to a bug based on two strings being the same size but being different. So I'm once again compiling, executing. They are recognized as different, so that's good. Go back to the code. What else can we test here? Well, let's see. I'm going to use char star s4, and I'm going to initialize s4 to the same value than s1. So I'm trying to compare two strings that are identical. Okay, they are identical because they are exactly actually the same string. So I'm trying to compare s1 with s4, which is really comparing s1 with itself. Okay, because the two pointers contain the same value. Let's test that anyway. Okay, GCC, execute. S1 is identical to S4. Well, this is the good news. Okay, this is what we expected. What else can we test? Well, we tried we tried 3 different possibilities of having strings being different. Okay, 2 different possibilities. Sorry. The third possibility is the strings are identical because they are the same. Well, let's try char star S5, and we are going to initialize S5 to high as well. So now we have identical strings, but they are not the same string. So let me write this up real quick. I'm comparing S1 and S5. Save the file. Go back to the terminal, compile, execute. S1 is different than S5. So we have a little problem here. Okay? Let me revisit the code. S1 is initialized to I, S5 is initialized to high, S1 is blah 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 S5, str compare S1 and S5. A quick look at the file indicate that there's not any problem with the way that we call S1 and S5, okay, with the printf, the compare, etc. However, if you look ahead here, there's simply a misspelling here. It's uppercase H here. So when you have like problems like that, you start where where the problem appears, of course at runtime, okay, that is during the execution of strcompare, because all of the other tests succeeded. This test failing just indicates that there is a problem when the two strings have the same length, so you would look into that part of the code, okay, and they are identical. But this code is straightforward, so it's easy to see that there is no problem in here. So if you don't find your problem where you expect it, then you start like going back in time in the execution of the program, and in this case we had to go up to the declaration up here, okay. So I'm saving this file, switching to the terminal again, gcc main a.out, and this time it's working. So we are done with this exercise as well.